Hello. Oh shit.
Perfect.
That's good.
Don't change a thing.
Hey guys, welcome to the Lab Podcast, Episode 2. I'm here today with my good friends and production partners, Leo James and Courtney Cockabeen. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Excellent. I mean, almost every time I'm in the studio, I'm having a good time. That's why we put it together, right?
Definitely.
Always excellent.
Cool. Well, I guess jumping right into it, today we're going to talk about actually a question that my mom gave me, which is really interesting. Not interesting. She gives me questions. It's an interesting question, and that is, why do we like the music that we like? I mean, us individually, and I guess maybe later as a group. You know, what do we come together on? But it's interesting because we spend so much time working in music, listening to new music. Trying to make our own. Clearly, we all have very personal reasons on why we choose to consume the music that we do. And you guys want to start?
Yeah, I'll jump right in. Music for me, I often joke that Bob Marley's the most out of tune music that I like. So there's a standard for being a certain amount in tune. It's not that I care about being in tune; I just plain like it. There's nothing like teaching elementary school band to bring back that good wince feeling of like, oh, that's really close. Oh, and if you see a band live and there's a guitar or a singer that's just really, it could be the best song ever, but if it's out of tune, it's just not going to be fun for me. And out of time, but we don't hear a lot of out of tune or out of time stuff on the radio. So getting beyond that.
A lot of that is controlled for.
Yeah.
In that sort of setting.
Yeah, so just getting beyond that, if we're already talking about something that's executed very well, we're starting to get into genre, and I'm pretty open on genre. There's a lot of stuff I've liked, but I think consistent winners are predictability. It can be creative, but not too creative. We're all working with the same 12 notes, or at least the same sorts of progressions, even if you're not.
So is there something that I guess isn't genre specific, that's I guess for you almost like a giveaway that it's going to be something that you like, in a song? Like what is it that might come up in a song or that an artist might do that I don't know, that really sells you, and that isn't specific to their genre? Maybe just the way they play something.
Creativity in the arrangement, in particular for me, is something that will really catch my ear. Even within a song's own structure, some artists have an ability to sort of come up with that thing that surprises you. So you talked about predictability, which I think goes actually hand in hand with surprise, because once you've established that predictable pattern,
then you can break it.
Exactly, and then that just pulls you in if you were already paying attention in the first place.
Yeah. I think there are more deal breakers for me than deal makers. You ask me, like, what are the things that can hook me and make me care? And there's nothing. There's no one thing you can do that's going to make me like your song. There's a lot of things you can do that are going to make me not like your song. And you have to avoid doing any of them, basically. You have to go start to finish without dropping the ball. And I can tell you one category where I don't have deal breakers usually is lyrics. It's funny, it takes me about 10 or 20 times before I notice a lyric I don't like. And I'm always really sad when I notice, like, oh, this song I've been loving on is actually really offensive. No, oh man. And my wife notices immediately. She's like, did they just say? And I'm like, oh no, I think they did.
It's really interesting you bring up lyrics, and you bring up arranging. I mean, for me, one of the things that I get a huge kick out of is when the lyrics are able to reflect what's happening in the arrangement, and I guess more generally the music. This is fairly easy when writing a sad song, you put it in a minor key. When you're writing a dance, you give it a certain beat, so that it inclines you to dance. But for me, it goes so much deeper. An easy example is when in hip hop, like someone will mention a lyric about time stopping or saying something stop, or mentions a pause of some kind, and the music pulls out at the same time. To me, that's it's not just, it doesn't just give emphasis to what they're saying and pull you into the music, but it's it's part of the humor. Music can be really humorous, but but not, more than humor. When the lyrics, when they're describing a specific emotion, and then the music, something deeper inside the arrangement can mimic that, often that contrast, or that emotion, what they're feeling, or conflict, or even when Pink Floyd would have a section that's simulating like a drug trip or something. And I guess I don't know. That's again more in that's pretty widespread. But when those two things can play together, that's for me can be a deal maker.
Yeah,
and that goes across genres. If what you're singing about, even if it's really really heavy and really dark, if it's illustrated beautifully, and there's some symmetry in what you're saying with the music, that I'm a fan. I'm already a fan.
Yeah, I love it when one or more aspects are on that same wavelength. Where if it's it's hard to imagine sad drums. It's easy to imagine a sad chord, but when you can like isolate a drum track, play that, and go, gosh, that's an awfully sad drum beat. That's an amazing achievement in music, and anybody can write a sad lyric, but it's not until you pair that with a sad progression and you make it all lockstep. You mentioned like when they say stop and they stop with the music, and they're now making you stop your physical body and your whole dance flow on a lyric command by having the band stop. I'm thinking of Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk. Stop. Wait a minute. Fill my cup.
Yeah.
It's surely it's done 100 times a day, and it works. It's always going to work. And you can do similar things with like an up emotion or a down emotion, or there's so many different ways you can be on the same wavelength as the lyrics. And yeah, it's always got to be for a purpose. Like there's Hozier's new album has a song in 5. And I'm around the studio. For those of you at home who never jam with me, I'm kind of a jerk when it comes to jamming in 5 and 7 and stuff. I'm always like, the bar is really high. I'll do a lot of jams in 4, but when we're gonna do a weird thing, I want it justified. And you need to be singing about something that feels equally like that. It shouldn't just be 5 for 5's sake. And he's got a great 5 song that just from its very beginning, it's toe tappable, it's ear friendly, despite how challenging it is to actually dance or sing or move or think in beats of 5.
And just to clarify, for those of you that don't know, what he's referring to is the number of beats in a measure, which is just a regular measure of time in music. So most music we listen to happens to be in 4 or 3 to a lesser degree. So 5 is a fairly exotic for most musicians.
Yeah.
It's about one step out of the norm.
Yeah, I think, man, I love thinking about odd time signatures. I mean, that's such a silly thing to say, or I laugh because doing this podcast I realized, wow, I was bound to say something like that at one point. But I do love thinking about odd time signatures, and especially, as far as liking music that we like. For myself, the deeper I've gotten in music, the harder it is to challenge my ear and to interest me and to, challenge what's predictable. Because to me now, so much is predictable, and the more we learn, the more we see it coming, and you find yourself, reaching out, or you're listening, branching out into odd time signatures and just what some might call stranger music, but for you, it's just you're searching for more of that stimulation, that challenge of that. Oh, what just happened? I got to find out what that was. And for me, as far as I can't talk about music, why I like the music I like without mentioning the Deer Hunter. It's spelled DEAR Hunter, and specifically like the mastermind behind it, Casey Crescenzo. To me, his music is often like the gold standard for mirroring. The music with the lyric, and it's so profound because his lyrics and the stories that he writes about are often so profound that it's hugely impressive to see those things reflected in the music. And a lot of ways that he does this is through odd time signatures.
Yeah.
He's going after this surprise. Essentially, he'll give you one feeling and then suddenly take away or add a beat to what he was doing, or through from one section to another, change the feel to change the emotion. To me, he understands that concept just as thoroughly as one can, and the whole point of understanding time signatures and all these other things is really to use them to the most effect in order to be able to tie them to the lyric or whatever your music is trying to say or trying to be anyway.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it sound more natural too. When someone can play a song in an odd time signature and you don't particularly notice. I mean, I know for us maybe we count it out a little more often than the average listener, but there are certain songs out there in 5 or 7 or something like that you wouldn't even know it unless you really sat down and paid attention. And to me, that's a mastery of that.
One of my favorite examples of that is a pretty well-known Band of Skulls off their last album, Sweet Sour. I'm referencing it because I actually know all the specifics enough to make a quality reference. But
we're going to link to the song right over here. This is the magic link to hear Band of Skulls.
Band of Skulls, the album, Sweet Sour, and the song is Wanderluster. And it took me until probably the 7th or 8th listen to realize that the whole thing is in 7.
Amazing.
I was so sold on what I guess I often refer to as, the illusion, similar to like going to theater. They're going after this illusion, and the illusion that it gave me, I didn't care. I wasn't counting. The music felt so natural and felt so easy that it never bothered me, and yet I knew that it was different for some reason. And I guess so. That's something for me. The Deer Hunter something for me. Is there something, an artist or a band for you that almost exemplifies at least one thing that's like they are why I like music?
It's tough.
There's many.
Yeah,
to be completely honest.
I don't mean to put you on the spot,
yeah.
but it is a podcast, I guess.
Well, we're talking about why is it that we like the music we like, and so. I have to say, throughout my life, I've gone through a lot of periods where I've liked different things, and I've kept them as I've gone through my journey. But I feel like it's sort of built one after the other. I started out really enjoying 50s and 60s, just any kind of music you could throw under pop in that period, whether it be rock or soul. And the songwriting those days was rather simple. In a sense, I mean, there wasn't anything too complicated going on in especially the 50s into the early 60s.
Yeah.
And from there, my taste, I feel, has just built in different sorts of complexities and such. As you guys know, I've gone through quite a serious jazz period as of late. And I think one thing that's pointed out to me is I really enjoy the idea of craftsmanship in the music. Mm-hmm. So this goes from anyone like Miles Davis, who's a superb instrumentalist, to even the Beatles, who I feel really mastered the art of songwriting. I mean, when you get to their later work, you can see how, if you take things apart, you can see how well put together those songs are in their entirety.
They have, between Paul and John, they have more than one song on the top 10 most covered songs of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's a very well-founded statement. To answer the question, is if there's anything that embodies why I like music, like Courtney, I kind of have to take you on the whole journey that, initially it was just an action. Before I even was old enough to buy music, I'd been playing it for almost 10 years. And so at that point, I'd already been to jazz concerts and orchestra concerts. And for me, the most hair-raising experiences have all happened in orchestra setting, where music reaches some kind of classical height that we don't hear a lot on the radio. And even if you do, it's kind of hard to be moved like that in your car. There's something great about a concert hall, and you can't beat it for what it is. And then, getting to the point where I was a consumer, I really fell for Maroon 5's early funk rock. My brother listened to a lot of funk and played a lot of horns, but that was a nice kind of blend of what I'd heard him study in some of the jazzier elements, and got me into the pop spectrum. It literally saved me from barbershop, where I was singing in barbershop choruses, and I was on a dangerous path of gateway seventh chords, and it could have gone horribly wrong, but it didn't. And in choir, I think some of those same hair-raising moments when we would sing old songs that are very easy, just the simplest, prettiest chords out there, and as we complicate life and music now, I do occasionally try to just reach back and break down to a few notes and a few chords and try to move myself. And yeah, I think if I could describe it in one feeling, if I can get that hair raising feeling, then it's perfect. And if I can avoid ruining it, no deal breakers, I'll probably like it. That's my standard, I think.
I guess that's something is trying to bring it all in is something that we all like is similar, just like great cooks, a lot of them they just talk about like just not messing up the ingredients.
Sure.
And so for us, when we come together, I guess a lot of times the common theme is, we'll come up with something fresh to jam on, or we'll play something that we already know. And every time we play it, each of us, we're not only trying to play it together, but individually, we're also just trying our best, to not lessen the value of the song. We're playing it, hopefully it's something that we really like. The more we like it, the harder we're going to try. And I feel like there are these moments when everyone is trying, to hold this song, this feeling, this moment, whatever, up on a pedestal. And like when everyone's like up on their tiptoes, and usually what that means is playing less, is like being simpler, is simplifying and just choosing those moments, and often those notes, and man, just not messing it up. And so I guess for so much music, we hear it and they'll break into a great groove, and it's just just hold it. And if they when bands can hold something down and then raise the stakes and then give you another feel on top of that, that's for me that's when you can just fall in love with the band. Hey, real quick, I think it'd be fun to hear what have you been listening to right now? Like what's in your playlist super recently, super fresh? I mentioned it once already, but Hozier's new album is amazing. He comes from Azusa, where he sang like an angel and still does, and it has incredible lyric themes with religious undertone and discusses what I think might be a falling out with religion. It's hard to tell. It's an incredible album. Check it out. What have you guys been listening to?
I'll give you something old and something new.
Cool.
Old style, I've been listening to a classic album called Relaxin' with the Miles Davis Quintet.
Ooh.
It's to me, it's just one of the most perfect albums I've ever heard. It speaks to my personal aesthetic. But for something new, I've been listening to a group called Hiatus Coyote, which
I haven't
a spectacular name. But they're from Australia.
I heard this band.
And there's a single in particular, Nakamara, it's super tight. At times it feels like it might be a different time signature. I think it is in 4. I haven't pulled it apart yet, but it's a bass, drums, guitar, piano with a singer also on guitar.
Cool.
And super tight, and I can't wait till they come to the States.
All right.
Awesome. Man, the past couple weeks I've actually I've every now and then you almost rediscover something that you've already been in love with. I mean, talk about music, why we like what we like. The huge influence for me is RX Bandits and a lot of their albums. And just recently, I was in the car with a friend and decided to play them some older stuff. This album in particular and The Battle Begun. And I hadn't listened to it in quite a long time, despite the hundreds of times that I've listened to this album over the years. And since then, I've just made a whole lot more music, and suddenly I notice, things that never occurred to me. Another thing that I like about across any genre is these little details in ear candy. If I can keep coming back to your music and finding new things, that's another thing that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about that, actually. That's interesting because I found for myself, there's a lot of albums I've liked over the years, and there are certain songs that I don't pay very much attention to. And then as I grow older, I come back to it, I realize, hey, let me try this song out again. It's been a while, and I really like it at this point. Has that happened to you guys a lot?
Yeah.
Completely. I've had, I guess even with RX Bandits, I've had whole albums that have come out, and I go, I don't get this, and it takes a while, and then once I finally get into the album, I'll listen to it, 2 times and say, okay, these 3 songs are my top. This one I don't like as much, I might skip that. And then fast forward 6 months, and that list is completely inverted.
Yeah,
right.
just sometimes simply because I noticed something in that song while I was going by, and I realized, oh wait, and I'll realize a connection often between the lyric. I'll realize there's something clever about it. There's a reason it was the way that it was, and I'm finding that reason. Even if it takes time, is often like the enjoyment of having an album over time.
Yeah, definitely it's happened to me. I think the most notable example was I was taking drum lessons, way too young to get it, but my drum teacher gave me Miles Davis' Kind of Blue because we were playing a song from it, and it was just like too much. Couldn't quite follow it. Listened to it anyway, and it was moving in a weird way, but later moved away, literally just thinking of the drum teacher, put the album on, and it was like, this is actually, I can now tap my foot to this, but I still don't like it. And then, a few more years later, I play a few more instruments, and now I put it on, and I have this different perspective, and now everything I'm hearing is something I've played before, and I'm like, I think this is amazing. They're all very good. Still don't like it. And a few more years later, I'm in high school, and someone's talking about choir this, choir that. We should all try to do a Miles Davis trumpet song. And I was like, no, we shouldn't. It's good. Check this out. Let's put it on and listen. And we all listened to Kind of Blue. And everyone around me didn't like it. And I was like, this is awesome. Whoa, man. This is so cool. And I think it's context. Like, if I tell you a knock-knock joke and you've never heard one before, I'm going to be like, knock, knock, who's there? And something or other. And you just be like, I think that was funny, but like, tell me
if
what.
you don't understand the format of the joke.
Yeah, and so it is with jazz. It's so hard to understand that format that unless you've heard some of the genres that came before it, until you've explored the blues, until you've really heard what it is based on, it's hard to even connect with those notes and feel the right things. One example that got me there, I think. If you're an improv piano player out there, check out Keith Jarrett, The Koln Concert, Koln. All improv, he just sits down and plays whatever comes to his mind for like an hour straight.
Fantastic.
And there's stuff there where he's coming up with jazzy ideas, but it's only at the rate that he can come up with it. So it was somehow like easier to swallow. And I think it got me hooked on jazzier things. I was playing a lot of improv piano at the time, and I think that was my gateway drug into Miles Davis, was hearing Keith Jarrett play the Koln Concert. And for the record, just a quick side note, he would be amazing if we could just get him to not sing ever. If you want to check it out, it's so hilarious. They don't mic his voice because it's terrible.
Yeah.
And he just gets distracted and he starts singing what he's playing. And he's just like... Yeah. So anyway, that's my Keith Jarrett.
It was a good impression.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Well, I don't even know where do I go from that. How do I take the? Well, I think just on a final note, I'm gonna use. I just want to say, we all like different music, but we come together and make this Venn diagram of music and of taste, and that's that's Leo's term, to his credit. But it comes up almost every time we add a new player, to our mix, or someone comes in and we're we're trying to give them the idea of the music that we're making. Individually, we like a lot of different things. Sometimes dramatically different things. All of our playlists are really different. But when we come together, that Venn diagram, we see what overlaps, and these common themes, often keep coming up. And for us, when we overlap at the staples, the stuff that's just understood, just a given for us is groove, is having feel, is not playing too much in these things. And I mean there are so many, but the Venn diagram, and I guess if we could put a message on it, it's between you and the people you make music with. Find that Venn diagram. Like, the better you can understand where you overlap and where you don't. Some things you shouldn't mix with your band. That's why everyone's got side projects. It's okay. It's healthy.
No bagpipes in this band, or is that
only with wah pedal?
Oh, of course.
Again, givens. But yeah, so wow, that's really cool. I feel like I know you guys better.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to throw one more out there. I want to know most influential artist or album of all time. And I said the album already. It was Songs About Jane, but single artist is probably got to be Michael Jackson. I love pop music to my very core. I like a funky pop music, but no artist is higher ranked on my Spotify plays, and yeah.
Again, I got to use your answer from earlier that it's changed over like different albums, you know, have propelled me through like different segments of my life. It's I know I guess so. One thing I'll point out is when I found funk, specifically Jamiroquai, that was a big turning point. All of my early music and the genre that got me into music was playing ska and playing this, you know, just upbeat, fun guitar. And then a couple years into college, you know, my friend, you know, just, you know, helped me or gave me a whole bunch of Jamiroquai to listen to. And it was everything to the next level. It was the horn writing, the arranging, you know, the size of the band, the size of the shows and the songs that they were playing is everything to the next level. And so I have to say, recently, it's, you know, a lot. The first two Jamiroquai albums, "Emergency on Planet Earth" and "Return of the Space Cowboy," have been just some of the most influential because those albums set a lot of standards for pop arranging and the production, the mixing, and the clarity and everything on those albums is, to me, feels flawless.
Awesome.
Boy, you asked a tough question there, Leo.
That's okay.
That said, I'm just trying to think here of if I had to give an artist that honestly left probably one of the bigger impressions on me, I'd have to say James Brown.
Yeah.
I couldn't give you an album of his, but if I wanted to give an album, I'd say, building on that idea, Mothership Connection by P-Funk. As soon as I heard
this
that...
is why he's our bass player.
Yeah, it is. No, the way that P-Funk does their funk is so different from James Brown, and it blew open the doors on my mind as far as how you could play the same genre of music but do it wildly differently.
So true.
Fantastic. So feel free to let us know what your big influences are. Why do you like the music that you like? Share with us. We love to talk about it. Clearly, we take the time to come on here and just sit around and talk about it. So let us know what you think. And we'll see it on the next episode live from the lab. My name is Christian Sorensen.
I'm Leo James.
I'm Courtney Kakabin.
And we'll see you next time. Adios.
Later.
Bye.